time you did a really pathetic clap.
Yeah, I do, actually. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me of my pathetic claps. Hey everyone, we are continuing our Stardew series, and I've named it Talk of the Town, which Teddy told me was a good name.
It's pretty glib, I'm into it.
Yeah, I was hoping that it would be alright.
It makes it sound like we're talking shit, and we are.
We are, and that's what everyone kind of does in this game too, so I think it's fine. And I feel like everyone that plays this game has someone else in the game that they talk shit about or don't like.
That's true.
Those communities kind of combat each other, and I didn't realize how much that was until I was looking for fan art for the Shane episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, there are rivalry gangs out there.
Yeah. I didn't realize how bad it was. I didn't realize how bad it was. I'm just like, hey, I kind of like these people. These people were cool. And then people were like, no, fuck this person. This is why this person shouldn't exist in this
Here's my
game.
manifesto, why?
Anyone have a mod that can get Abigail out of the game? Because I don't like looking at her purple hair.
I only like when Abigail's a centaur.
I will turn that image back on in this thing right now. I will do it. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to look at that.
I called your bluff.
No, did you now? Alright, here it is.
So,
there
no, I didn't realize you still had it queued up!
Now everyone has to deal with Abigail being a centaur.
Today wasn't about centaur Abigail, guys.
No. And that's not canon, by the way. That's just an image I found on Google.
Oh yeah, that's not real. That has never been real.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in the game.
Unless, is there a mod to make everyone centaurs?
Is there a mod to make your horse Abigail?
I'm just gonna turn this off real fast. So today we're talking about
the Unmarriagables.
There we go. That's the one.
Old but not quite oldest people in Stardew Valley.
I was trying to find a word to say that, and I didn't think of unmarriageable at all. I was like, the non-divorceable. But I was like, wait, that means you're already in a marriage. Well, that's true also, because you can't divorce them if you're not married to them. So I guess it also works.
So today we are going to talk about Carolyn and Pierre, Robin and Demetrius, and Jody and Kent. The funny thing, little side note about Kent, is that Jarrell didn't even know he existed.
No.
Because you started the game over like 5 times.
I've just kept starting the fucking game over. Or once the first year is done, I'm like, that's good enough, new character, and then I just hop into another.
I remember you were so pumped when you they dropped a new character.
Yeah, I was like, yo, they dropped this sick ass new character. His name's Kent. He's kind of Super Saiyan and dumb. And then I was like, Teddy was like, no, he's always been in there, man. I'm like, oh fuck, thought I was cool, thought I did something great, thought I achieved a new level of Stardew, but I didn't.
Well, I mean, I guess you did personally.
Yeah, I did personally. I was pretty happy with myself.
I don't necessarily have to do it in this order, but I thought we would start with Carolyn, arbitrarily. There's no actual reason behind it. So for those of you who don't know, Carolyn is the wife of the general store owner. She's a stay-at-home mom. She's got green hair. She's often upset about her daughter Abigail's purple hair, but has green hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like that weird kind of anime thing where everyone has like the crazier different. Yeah, I don't understand why she's upset about Abigail's hair. Actually looks more natural to her character than Carolyn's, in my opinion.
Yeah. I have notes. I have a lot of notes.
All right.
If this seems disjointed, it's because I read off of my notes like an idiot and then usually throw them behind me in a fit of pique.
Mm-hmm. She likes fish tacos, just to keep that in mind.
Yeah, you want to be friends with Carolyn for some reason? Give her a fish taco
or
a
summer
diamond.
Spangle.
Everyone likes diamonds.
Everyone likes diamonds because everyone's dumb.
They're all a bunch of greedy asses.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jody declares that Carolyn is her, best friend. She can tell Carolyn anything. So I assume that they've both lived in Stardew Valley for a hot second. Each of the non-marriageable, we'll call them, NPCs have a heart event, whereas with the bachelors and bachelorettes, you get heart events at 2, 4, 6, basically every even number.
And then 10's the highest for everyone?
Yeah, 10's the ultimate.
Yeah, okay. Does everyone have a 10? No, because you can't get to 10 with the non-marriageables. Right?
That's right. They only. You can get to 10 hearts with them, but nothing happens.
Okay.
But Carolyn's 10 heart event is a fight with Abigail, where Abigail's being typical 18-year-old, and she's like, stop trying to tell me how to live my own life. But then Carolyn does the mom thing, and she's like, you're in my house, and I don't make you pay anything, even though that's what parents do.
I mean, my mom said that if I lived in her house, she would make me pay rent.
See, I take a personal beef with that, because if my parents ever made me pay rent for living in their house after forcing me to be alive...
It was a joke for my mom. It was just her saying, get off your arse and do something.
Well, see, from anecdotes of your parents, I could see that being the actual case, and I've known that to be the case. Like, people who, like...
And you've met my parents. You know they wouldn't be serious about that.
I met your parents once for 5 minutes.
That's true.
That was during the Harry Potter event.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst time to name that. Wow. Yeah. No, you never met my parents.
Who were they? Who was that person? But yeah, so Carolyn is often, like, on Abigail for what she's wearing, how she dresses. And Abigail doesn't take this well because she's, like, one of those girls who isn't like other girls and likes crystals and the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, she's cool.
She's cool. Me and Jarrell have a disagreement.
Yeah, I think Abigail's alright.
So it's not so much a fan theory as actually heavily implied by the game that Abigail is Rasmodius the Wizard's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the thing I don't like about Carolyn comes in. Because Carolyn was, one, willing to pin her pregnancy on an unwitting man.
True.
And two, bust up a marriage. The wizard is married.
Mm-hmm. Or was? Was he?
Yeah, he divorced, and now the witch comes and turns people's children into doves and curses your flowers.
Yeah, because it's your fault.
He mentions that at some point. He's just flying around the countryside being a lunatic.
Yeah. I did read that. So there's a lot of lore stuff like that I didn't find out till probably like a week ago.
About the Abigail and the wizard thing? Or?
Yeah, stuff like that. Like I think we mentioned during our playthrough that I know like the smaller details in the game, but I don't know like all the big stuff.
Yeah, there are a lot of fan theories out there about who's parent, because you never meet Sebastian's dad and what have you, but this is the only one that is actually supported by in-game content, because Pierre is like, Abigail doesn't look like me, and Carolyn's like, I used to take a lot of strolls by the Wizard Tower when I was a young, beautiful girl. And it's like,
is that just something to mention?
And the wizard is like, one of the kids in the village is mine.
I love the wizard, though. He'd be really unapologetic about that fact, too.
Yeah. So, this is just a side note, but one of the fan theories is that the wizard is also Sebastian's father.
Amazing.
So, that means that the wizard's just going around town.
Just 100% running the Hogwarts Express through whoever he can.
Through any eligible young woman.
Is that why Robin's axe is missing in the forest near his tower?
She's going to kill the wizard. But there's no actual proof for that one. That's just a fan theory.
I think they just have... I feel like Sebastian dyed his hair, considering his personality.
That's the most accepted. Also, his biological father might just have black hair. A lot of people headcanon him as being, like, half Asian.
I can see why.
So... Yeah. There's a lot of theory as to why that is. The wizard theory low on the list.
I forget how, like, still deep this community is, like, honestly, like, with this game, because this, I go online and I'm looking up, like, Stardew stuff for the Switch, and it's like, wow, people are still posting hardcore, paragraph-heavy things.
It is still fucking kicking, largely because the developer is still, the game still has a beating heart. It's not like one and done, the game's over, the game's done, he can move on. So.
Right. I think a lot of people don't think about it because it largely is considered a casual game amongst your Call of Duty-ers.
Yeah.
But I was very surprised. Is there any other like theories involving like Abigail's family, or because like Pierre? Up until you told me that, like I didn't even consider. I mean, until I read the wizard thing like a week ago, but I didn't even consider like anything with her family outside of Abigail. Probably just dyed her hair because she's being rebellious.
Well, that's the thing is Abigail has a clip of dialogue, and she's like, it's been a really long time since I dyed my hair. Isn't it weird that it's still this color?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the only theory that is supported. Mm-hmm. I would like to reiterate that over and over again. Because some of the theories out there are just fucking, like, stupid, but... So I wish, because Carolyn was such an adventurous, apparently young woman, like...
Do you mind, son, not to cut you off, move that paper, hit that button that's under that X speed. Yes. Nope.
This?
Next to it, just press it down.
The red one?
That one right there, yeah.
Press it.
Yep. Cool. That's it.
Okay.
Sorry.
We had to do something. Because Carolyn is so... I don't want to use the phrase sexually promiscuous, but there it is.
Is she? I don't talk to her often in the game.
No, I mean, it's. I feel like that's implied because the wizard was married and because she...
Oh, right.
And I mean, if you...
And also her dialogue about being young and hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would want to see more anecdotal evidence of her being young in her character. Because I don't really like Carolyn. I think she's boring, but I felt like if she talked more about that time in her life... she would be more interesting.
I understand that, because it would be like kind of like a forgotten time for her, right? Like, she had this past that she could have probably seen herself branching from and continuing to gain from, you know, whatever her personality was back then. But now she just seems like any mom, because she has like all the older people go into her house to like stretch and then worship a deity.
Yeah, and I mean, I like that she has become such a mom.
Yeah.
Like, I like that she runs the aerobics class, and I like that she decided to keep the temple to Yoba in her house because that used to be the church. Like, those are things that I can appreciate about her, but she doesn't have a lot of like developing dialogue. That's which true. Kind of bothers me, and a lot of the other unmarriageable NPCs do. Like Pierre at the end of the game, we're going to cover this in a second, but he's according to himself, a boxing champion. His right hook was the stuff of legend.
His right hook. The stuff of legend, Pierre. See, that's the thing, is I never got to high enough hearts with a lot of the characters in the game through any of my playthroughs. Because my other playthroughs, it was like, I'll directly speak who I want to speak to, and then I will make friends with these other people towards getting that achievement. Right. And then that was as far as I went. I didn't spend too much time in the dialogue, but I wanted to, but I just never went back to do so.
Yeah, the way I had my playthrough was like on Sundays or what have you, or whichever day it's easy to find everyone, like Fridays because they're all at the bar. I would set aside one day a week to go and talk to everyone, and that builds up the hearts relatively quickly because you're talking to them on their birthday usually. It's
because I know that when you go to the pub on Friday when everyone's gathered there, I think that's a good time to do it too, because that's where you find
pretty much everyone's there. Yeah. So yeah, I always set aside a day because I got to like 10 hearts with everyone. Talking to people was my favorite thing to do. I crushed through that fairly quickly. I know that in the new patch they're going to be putting out when multiplayer drops, they're going to be adding heart events for these characters who don't feel as fully fleshed out as the bachelors and bachelorettes do.
Cool.
So I'm super excited for that. I think he wanted to elaborate on them, but just like didn't have time or was just like done, which I totally get.
Maybe he also wasn't expecting the amount of community support the game's gotten to.
That could be.
I could feel from when the game first came out, it was like he was very, I mean, he's still very active on Twitter right now, but I feel like he wasn't like, hey, you guys demanded this, you know, which he still doesn't do, you know, but it's like, I think like the people, especially for me, because I got this game way earlier on, I didn't realize how receptive it was going to be amongst, like, I didn't realize this community would be thriving, 2.5 years later almost?
Right. I did come late to the game, so this is all I've, like, known.
Yeah.
But
that's super cool to me. So you said Pierre next, him and his right hook.
My boy Pierre is next. So, again, Pierre is Carolyn's husband, Abigail's apparent father, and he runs the general store. He's, characterized as this, like, just nerdy store owner. He's, like, allergic to everything. Abigail says that at some point. I think it's really important to approach Pierre from the idea that he has achieved the 1950s American dream.
True.
Like, he's running his little store, and he's got a little family. So apparently everything, like, should be going his way, but we're at that point where the mega corporation is coming in to, like, scoop it all up. So I think that's important to think about when you're looking at Pierre, who is very much a caricature of a person who likes money and likes to make money. Like, the books in his bedroom are like, how to make a ton of money. Why Joja Corp is
He's
the
definitely
worst.
a business guy. Like, that's his thing. But he's that business guy, and I think the boxing kind of adds to this, what I'm about to say. But it's like he just came into it. It's not like he grew up and he was like, I want to one day forever run a business and be this big, like, superior guy, you know?
I think, this is theoretical. I think Carolyn found the first sucker that she could, and Pierre's a sucker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really is.
And there's young green-haired Carolyn, and she bones him, and she's like, hey, I'm pregnant, we need to do something. And he's like, yeah, the store.
No, honestly, that's kind of what it seems like when you tell me that theory. It's like, she's like, oh no, I might be pregnant, I might as well get with someone who's not a wizard before it's too late and say, this is ours, you know? Like, she seems the type. Now that you mention it, it's not very fair to say that, but that's what it seems like.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised you didn't know about that, so I'm glad that...
Yeah, that's new to me, and it kind of definitely makes a lot of sense.
I never really liked Pierre very much until I completed the what do you call it? The community center.
Oh, right.
Because, like, after you finish all the bundles and the Junimos work their little apple magic, Morris comes in and he's like, what is going on? You can't do this. This is my warehouse.
Right, Morris.
And Pierre comes up and just, like, punches him into space.
That right hook. Gotta watch out for that right hook.
The only time that Abigail and Pierre have actually ever gotten along.
Yeah, I like that they imply there that that Abigail doesn't really like him all that much. You know.
I understand why, because Abigail's rebellious and likes to go out at night, and I mean, you know, nothing's gonna happen to anyone in Stardew Valley, but I mean, I
don't know. I feel like from the player perspective, there's a lot of shit that can go on and happen to people at night.
That's true, but like, if you open Stardew Valley and you're like, I'm gonna play this game, you don't think that
that's true. Yeah,
anything's gonna happen.
I also think that Pierre is also just trying to be a good dad, because he seems very protective. Because, you know, you have this relationship between Abigail and Carolyn, where Carolyn is very much trying in a way to dictate her daughter's life, in a way, and Pierre doesn't seem to be necessarily dictating. He just wants to protect her.
Yeah, I honestly think that Pierre is just concerned in the way that parents are manifesting in the way that parent
and I
does.
I feel like Abigail does treat him a little unfairly, but she's really young. Just for starters, or represented to be a younger person. And you said like 18.
I had canon Abigail around 18 or 19.
I had canon her to be someone around 22, but who's been sheltered and stays at home.
I don't think she's old enough to drink.
Really?
Assuming that Stardew Valley follows the 21 drinking age.
Yeah, you don't think she is?
No.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, considering the other characters that are there, like Sam and...
Yeah, I had canon Sebastian as being older than her.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam having, like, just turned 21, and Abigail's, like...
I feel like she'd be, like, 19. I'm just thinking of in the perspective of someone who lives in a town like her, and she doesn't really know where she wants to go or do it herself, and just kind of wanders around. She'll be 19 years old and doing the same thing she was doing when she was 17. That's kind of the perspective I get, because some of the I guess for me, the dialogue between her and Carolyn's kind of giving her that you're too old to be doing this kind of like attitude with her dialogue. So that's why I figured she was older than 18 years old in some way. Maybe not exactly 21, 22, maybe 19, 20 in a way.
Yeah, I mean, that's about where I had her.
Yeah.
Because I think she was, like, finishing up school. I think she did some sort of, like, she mentions online schooling, so some sort of, like, online community.
That's what I figured, like, she was already, like, out of high school.
Yeah, but I believe it was, like, freshly. I have the same problem with Pierre that I do with Carolyn, in that I want to hear more about little Pierre.
That's true. I'm a little more interested in his backstory, because I also feel like his business, because he seems to have like a bit of nobility to him in a way. It's like he doesn't want this big megacorp to take over, so you have all these business books trying to compete with this bigger thing and keep up.
Like fight that he has, and Carolyn's just like, I wonder, should we get takeout?
Yeah.
You want to get takeout?
Yeah, Carolyn is just so nonchalant with the shit, dude. Like Pierre actually, and that's the thing. Abigail, as a character, I think she takes a little bit more from Pierre than she does her mom in terms of like ambition. You know, because she wants to fight in the dungeons. She wants to see what's out there. She wants to do more. I know this because I chose her as a romance option and I married her. But it's just she seems to have a lot more out there, as Carolyn is more like, give me, let me have what you're having.
I understand Carolyn's passiveness because at that point you've had a child in your hometown that you grew up in, and now you're still there. So I understand.
It might not even be it's not your husband's kid.
Yeah, I mean, I understand
Probably.
her resignation. Like, do we get takeout? Nothing matters. Literally nothing in life matters. Like,
that's true.
I kind of understand.
I can sympathize with that for sure. Yeah.
Pierre, I think it's really easy to look at Pierre and make fun of him, or like not take him seriously, or not like him as a character. But I think he's also concerned for the well-being of the community. If you look like just beneath the surface of his weird money talk.
Pierre feels like a hipster dad. Like, say if you were to take a dad now in real time, like real life right now, IRL, 41-year-old dad, right? But he was what you would consider a hipster when he was younger. But now that he's older, he's blending the two lives of trying to maintain a family and a business, but also trying to be that kind of hipster community kind of guy.
And he's super willing to take your farmer under his wing. He's like, hey, I see you making eyes at some people in town. Here's a bouquet, give it to him. Go get him. Like
exactly. So I like Pierre. I think during our playthrough I was being a little too jokey and really giving Pierre like a bad rap, but I honestly do like him.
Have you gotten to his 6 heart event in any of your personal playthroughs?
I haven't. No. At a point in those playthroughs, I just play the game, video gamey. I will go to the people I like. But the most recent time playing on the PS4 version, at least that I have, I've been actually trying to spend time with all the characters.
So the 6 heart event for Pierre is kind of weird, and it really throws me for a loop. I never know what to do. So for some reason, you're like snooping through Pierre and Carolyn's bedroom.
That's
and you
weird.
Look behind the bookshelf and you find Pierre's secret stash. It doesn't tell you what it is. And Pierre comes busting in and he's like, you found my secret stash.
Arms flayed across the doorframe. You found the stash.
And so he's like...
Is he just smoking weed? Is that just a weed thing? Pierre seems like the type that...
I say, knowing that it's Pierre, I had canon it as total Xanax.
Could be.
Total Xannies. But...
I feel like Pierre is definitely like a jazz lounge kind of smoky, weedy guy.
The first time I played, I thought it was porn.
Could be.
I thought his secret stash was porn.
Could be. Carolyn doesn't seem like the type who wants to, with her.
But maybe she doesn't find him.
I'm not trying to throw any accusations out there. let me start by saying that. I'm just saying that Carolyn doesn't seem to be the type to wanna, hang out with Pierre after hours.
But it doesn't say what it is, and he's like, hey, don't tell anyone.
That's straight up porn. That's Pierre's box of porn. That's an old 80s shoebox of porn.
And he's like, if you don't tell anyone, I won't tell anyone that you were snooping around in my bedroom, which is fair.
I thought you meant that if you don't tell anyone, I won't tell anyone. Like, you weren't telling anyone to begin with.
And so you have the choice of saying, I'll keep your secret.
I'll keep a secret,
I'm not
dude.
a weird snooper.
I'm cool with the guy with the mean right hook.
No, I'm gonna tell everyone.
Nah, dude. I just watched this hipster dad punch a CEO into space, so I think I'm gonna keep my fucking mouth shut.
Yeah. So a lot of people think that fan theory time. A lot of people think that Pierre is a drug dealer.
Wouldn't that be Harvey? I feel like Harvey's dark secret would be drug dealing.
Harvey doesn't have a dark secret. Harvey's a little baby boy who's afraid of everything.
Is this you and Tumblr's sympathetic view on a character, or is this canon Harvey not having a dark secret?
This is...
Because I feel like everyone in that town has something involving some type of darkness.
Honestly, I don't think Harvey's dark. I think he's just old and sad. Because Stardew, despite its very bright, kind of saturated, kind of whimsical feeling, is about people who haven't achieved their dreams.
True. Very true.
Like, it belies everything superficially aesthetic about it. Carolyn's stuck in her hometown. Jody didn't want to have kids. She feel like she wasted her youth. Sebastian wants to go to the city but feels stuck. Harvey wanted to be a pilot, but he's afraid of heights. Like,
also, there's impending monster doom around everyone.
Yeah, there's a war embroiling just beneath the surface between the shadow people and the dwarves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of supernatural stuff. The wizard's like, I can probably help the supernatural, but I won't. That's the wizard. He's just like, hey, you have powers. You handle this. Drink this soup.
But yeah, everyone thinks that young people come to Pierre's shop to,
Yeah, get some of that weed. That's what I'm saying. He's a weedy boy. You got a farm? That's why he was like, hey, you got a farm. You got a farm. Help you out with that farm.
He sells you all those seeds. So I like Pierre. I do, but I want, again,
he's definitely, if anyone in the game, they're probably the only pure-hearted dad there is in the game. I mean, Kent doesn't seem to be the dad.
No, I think he maybe was.
Yeah, he wasn't
Kent's
dad.
thing.
Yeah.
Kent was the dad.
Yeah, he probably was the one. But yeah, I mean, let's not jump too far. Who's next on your list? I don't want to sidetrack you.
Next I had Robin next. Robin and Demetrius, but we'll do Robin first.
Okay.
I don't have a lot to say about Robin, which is partially my problem.
You said you have a lot, or you don't?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
So a few things that we do know about her is that she does aerobics with the girls on Tuesdays or Thursdays. Don't remember which one. And we know
Robin real fast.
Oh yeah, let's pull up. As you do, I feel like maybe I don't do Robin quite justice in the playthrough.
I like that she has this kind of either early Queens or Long Island accent. That's my favorite thing about the playthrough.
Stuff going on. So a few things that we know about Robin through her dialogue is that her parents were old-fashioned. They were like, you want to be a carpenter? And no. We know that Robin thinks her home on 24 Mountain Road isn't close enough to the city. She's like, oh man, the city, to Stardew, the town proper. Because she talks about what a hike it is coming down from the mountain.
I remember that dialogue coming up, and I had to remember that if we were to blow this up into real world perspective, this is a decently sized town, but everything's real fucking far away. Because in the game, everything looks close, you know? But I'm like, for like where the beach is, equivalent to where the mountain is, and where the desert is, I'm like, wow, this must be huge.
Yeah,
if
and
you
that's
think
a lot
about
of
it.
steps. Like, she's walking uphill the whole time.
Mm-hmm. That's like the Southside Slope steps. That's what I imagine it to be like. I've gone up and down those.
Going up to Polish Hill, like.
Oh my god, dude! What's wrong with the city? We complain about the city too much. Like every podcast episode is becoming a complaint about Pittsburgh episode.
I like Robin. You see a lot of Robin from Demetrius, Sebastian, and Maru.
Mm-hmm.
Robin is like one of the only people Sebastian can stand. She calls him Sebi. I feel like she doesn't know what to do for him, but she wants to help him.
Yeah.
Demetrius thinks she's hot-tempered and feisty, and I think that's what she's into because he's really like none of those things.
I mean, Demetrius, I feel like, is in public, he's very straight and tie, you know, I'm a scientist. But when he's at home, he's like very much like that sly horn dog.
I think he's flustered and nervous around Robin. I think
that's
Robin
what I mean.
has a lot of confidence.
True. Yeah, I don't know. I do feel like Demetrius is really in the Robin, like really in the Robin.
Which brings me, well, not that specifically, kind of to, I think.
I don't mean to keep spinning this in a weird after dark Stardew kind of comment. It's just the way I read these characters. That's my defense.
I think out of all of the Stardew moms,
mm-hmm.
Robin is definitely the most content and happy with where she is.
Yeah.
Like, Robin likes hard labor. She likes making things with her hands and seeing them after the fact. She is content with her life and her family in Stardew Valley.
She's in a perfect town for it. I mean, there's a lot of work that needs to be done everywhere. Especially when you moved in, or your character moves in. It's like, finally, I can build everything. You need a slime egg generator.
Why do you have blueprints for that?
She's like, listen, I have an idea.
And I like that about Robin, because having talked about the broken dreams thing, Robin did what she wanted and is happy with it, and she's like the only one. And I think it's really low key and really easy to overlook.
Maybe she is the ultimate middle ground character for the game, because they all seem to go in some extremes in a way. Maybe she's like that neutral kind of town character, kind of like someone that, like, say if we were to like move to like Oregon, right, and you found this town in Oregon, and there's one guy who works in a coffee shop, and he's He's a carpenter on his free time, and he's like, that's what I want to do. You know, I love this town. I chop trees in my backyard. I wear this plaid jacket shirt all the time, and and I just, you know, work at this coffee shop. You know, go home and I saw a few logs, make a couch or two out of wood. You know,
I like that.
That's how I imagine her, by the way.
Yeah, I like that Robin's biggest, I think, obstacle is Sebastian and Maru, and how this kind of like animosity or misunderstanding between them only like exacerbated by Demetrius. And it's, you know, it's both of their second marriage. You know, they've both been divorced already.
And it's interesting, their dynamic, because Demetrius being a scientist and then her being a carpenter, it's like, and then her contentness with what she's doing, and Demetrius being the type that's searching for more as a scientist, and then his attention always seems to be here and her attention always seems to be here. It's like, because there's always seem to be wrapped up in their own work in some way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. It's like she's holding the raising of these two new siblings, you know, like under herself, it feels like. Because Demetrius, I don't see him do much I haven't seen him do much in terms of trying to stabilize the relationship between his kids.
He doesn't. I think, he knows how to interact with Maru. They understand each other. That's a father and a daughter, and they have that like natural thing going on. I don't think Demetrius knows how to talk to Sebastian, and all of his attempts just go wrong.
Yeah, Demetrius is from the city, is he?
I think so. I assume so. It's never.
It seems like, just personality-wise, even Maru seems a little more like a modern city kid in terms of like how fast speed. Like her. I mean, I haven't done any hard events with Maru, not even purposely either. I always say I don't like her, but it's just, for some reason, I imagine her to be kind of annoying in a way, but annoying in the sense of, my character moves into this town, I'm trying to get some fucking work done, so talking to me, Maru. But it really though, if she is from the city, she's new here, she's young.
I don't think she's so much from the city as she is her father's daughter.
That's true, yeah.
And he has given her a lot of opportunity to grow where other Stardew children
have not had
that.
I feel like Dimitri has a lot of expectation of her too.
He has a lot of expectation and is very protective of her.
Yeah.
I know in Maru's like Too Hard event, she's like, hey, can you hold the soil sample for me? I'm glad you walked into my house. Hold my dirt. And then she leaves and it's just you and Demetrius in the lab. And he's like, Maru's a pretty smart girl, huh?
Yeah.
And you're like, yep, she sure is.
Yeah, she is.
And then he's like, it'd be a shame if anyone got in her way.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like that's Demetrius, like real Demetrius is this kind of a little bit on the edge, a little bit about himself, especially his daughter, like really tense. And I feel like Robin is very, I don't know, man, is my son's downstairs on Tumblr all the time. I just give me more of that. Pierre. But I feel like she's just super laid back because, again, she seems like the type where you're like, hey, I need 6 chicken coops, and she's like, fuck, I'll get it done in 3 days.
And notably, I think Robin and Demetrius have one of the most stable relationships. You always see them dancing together at the bar. Carolyn never comes to the tavern with Pierre.
Yeah.
Pierre's always selling things during like festivals, and Carolyn's always like, wouldn't it be great if Pierre spent this time with his family?
God, yeah, no, you're right. You're opening my eyes.
And
I think that works for them because I think, as I said before, they're both probably super intense people. Excuse me, both of them, like Robin and Demetrius, and it's like, as you said before, he's probably super nervous around her, and she probably really likes that fact about him in a way.
Yeah, because he says, he's like, Robin has kind of a temper. Don't tell her I said that.
Yeah.
Like, and so I think they are both very independent, but that just kind of works for them.
Yeah.
I mean, again, if you like compare Jody and Kent, Jody's alone for the first year, and then when Kent comes back, Kent is very much dealing with his own thing, and Jody's trying to work through that in her own way.
Dimitri and Robin give each other a lot of space to do their work, while Carolyn and Pierre are together constantly. In the same home. They, he works out of their house. She's always in there. You know, that's an interesting thing there.
Yeah, since we're covering so much Demetrius ground here.
Yeah. That's funny because I was like, maybe I should switch to Demetrius.
So we've noted that he's very protective of Maru,
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't feel the need to be protective of Robin. I don't really like Demetrius,
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of bums me out because I really want to like everyone. But one of redeeming quality of his is the 2 books that you find on his bookshelf in his bedroom. One of them is Maximizing Your Second Marriage.
I've never heard of this. I didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah, you can go up and read people's bookshelves. I do it all the time.
I haven't gotten enough hearts with him to go in his room.
And then the second one, because at first I didn't like him because I thought he treated Sebastian like hot garbo.
Mm-hmm.
But the second one is Practical Tips for First-Time Stepdads.
That's amazing.
So I think he really wants to be a good stepfather to
Mm-hmm.
Sebastian, but they don't know how to do it, and there's too much groundwork and
Right.
animosity to get over.
I think we mentioned in the playthrough that I think I said that I do like Demetrius. I remember you saying you didn't, and I think I never explained my reasoning. I don't believe, but the reason why I like him is because I feel like he is this smartass kind of like AP student, you know, kind of guy. Like he's like, I gotta be smarter than go on.
This brings me to my point, so you can finish
Okay.
your thought if you want.
He kind of like this kind of AP student kind of guy, and he's above everyone. His marriage fails. He wants to move out of there. He's still trying to be prideful on that portion of him. But then he meets Robin, and then he's in this town, and he's like, maybe I can hang out here, you know, because you see him around writing stuff out. He wants to learn about the flora and fauna of the place, and he's still being a scientist, but it doesn't seem as selfish as it could be to me.
I think he doesn't like going into town. I think he doesn't like the residents of town, which brings me to a second reason why I don't like him. Whereas Robin is always talking about, man, it's such a shame that we live so far away.
Right.
He says something almost identical. He's like, yeah, we live pretty far away from everyone, and maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I think Demetrius has this weird like superiority
That's
complex
exactly
over
what
other
I mean.
people in the
Yeah.
town.
Yeah. And that's where I would say is my negative thing. In relation, that was high school me. I think we've spoken about this before. High school me had this weird superiority kind of thing. But honestly, I don't like that aspect because I do feel like, much like Pierre, he has a lot he can contribute to the town, you know? And I mean, he's a smart dude. But I do feel like that's what happens IRL for a guy like him who probably, again, they don't talk about his ex-wife at all in the game, right?
No, they don't talk about anyone.
Is there any theories about her?
Not to my knowledge.
Because the only theory that I had about her is he finally met someone that was like himself and realized that that's not what he should have been with. And I feel like she may have broken his heart in a way, just by the way he treats Robin. You know, he's just super happy to have her, and it's like there's a grace that she brings to his life that he hasn't had before.
Right.
So that's why I think like his ex-wife was probably someone who's also just as smart or in the same type of line of work, and probably put a lot of pressure on him as to be a scientist, you know, and maybe he was the one who wanted to be a father. Yeah, just by how he treats Maru. It's like, This is his daughter. So he wanted to be a father. She chose her career. So to meet someone who's content, you know, and knows the land, I think he's trying his hardest. And he probably has, those books probably say he has that struggle being an elitist in a way. You know, he's like, I gotta drop this facade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that he wants to connect to Sebastian. I think he doesn't know how, which I have a couple things to say. I'm gonna gather those
please say
thoughts
them.
real
And
quick.
let me know if I'm talking too much, by the way.
No.
Because you know this way better than I do.
That I'm like, you're finding all of this out. His 6 heart event is Robin yelling at him.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted him to get fruit for a fruit salad, and he brought home tomatoes. And he's like, I don't know, these are fruit. You asked for fruit. I brought you fruits. And so you were like walking in the middle of this, and to me, like, Robin's like, does this look like a good idea to you? Is this like a fruit salad to you? Get in the middle of my marital dispute.
I mean, I've had tomatoes in a fruit salad before, just saying.
Okay, well, now we all know whose side that you're on.
Motherfucker.
And if you say, no, that doesn't go in a fruit salad, my dude, he's like, I thought you were a respectable farmer.
It's just your character there with a fucking leek that you've been chewing on for health. There's like, it doesn't go in a fruit salad, my dude.
A baguette that I pulled out
the
of the
baguette
trash.
that you just pulled out of trash. A cooked fish you just got out of trash.
Which, so there's a fan theory. This is a fan theory. It hasn't been supported with any in-game content. Ooh, a big vroom vroom.
I hate people.
Which is that Demetrius is autistic, or somewhere on the spectrum.
I can understand that.
Well, yeah, I can see how people came to that conclusion. Because in his 6 Heart event, he mentions something like, if you aren't clear with me what you want, then this is what happens.
Yeah.
Like, I need you to be as clear as possible.
I also subscribe to the theory that a lot of people who are scientific or incredibly artistic in nature are autistic in some way, or at least on the spectrum in some way. And it makes sense for his character too. I mean, especially if it's something that he has those books for, and he needs more direction in terms of basic life things. I just punched that mic. Basic life things. Then it makes sense to me, that theory.
Yeah, that's definitely one that I can super get behind.
Yeah.
So I'm unrelated. I'm not sure if this is even a thing, but like a lot of American small towns are predominantly white. So I'm not sure if Eric Bruin was doing this on purpose, but I can also see how maybe this is like the black guy who moved in from the city into this small town.
That was my other kind of thing when I was mentioning relating to him in a way, because that's kind of how it was when I moved here. I mean, there's obviously other people, but I mean, I'm an island kid. Like, my parents are from the Caribbean, so I have no family from this country, really. Like, at all. No generations. So it's like, I get that in a way. And that's the other thing I meant with his awkwardness. And this is not, like, defending him in a sense for his attitude, but I get, like, that's why he so shields up with everything. Like, he's so protective of his daughter. Because he's like, in a city, it's a different move, different wavelength. There's an amount of people, and you can act a certain way. There's a way to present yourself. In a small town, the joke, is like a small town is just high school outside of the building, and everyone doing the complete opposite thing of what they said they were going to do. But in his sense, yeah, I can see that. New marriage, new kid to relate to. All he has is science and Maru.
Yeah.
That's it.
So,
and then now he gains Robin and Sebastian. And then he has this entire town of people, but it's like, to him, it's like he comes from a city, so are they going to accept him?
I would definitely be interested to see if that was like on purpose or...
Well, I mean, him and Maru are the only two in the game that show any sort of pigmentation.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
That's what gave me that
idea.
idea.
And I think Maru's mixed to begin with. She seems so. I've seen people writing and saying, like, Maru is...
I just assume... I mean, I think it's widely accepted that Demetrius is, like, a person of color, and Robin is super white,
I've seen people saying that Maru is probably mixed, like, his wife was probably Spanish or something, or his...
Robin is Maru's mom.
Gotcha. That explains that. See, that's a detail that's incredibly obvious that I didn't know. I thought that it was, like, him and Maru moved in to the city, and then Sebastian, and then Sebastian and Robin was, there was Sebastian and Robin, then him and Maru, and then they married, and those two are now brother and sister. That's the way I thought it was.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Robin is Sebastian and Maru's mom.
Gotcha.
So she is definitely biracial.
Okay. Then in that case, yeah, it's like, I can see Demetrius being incredibly shielded as the one African American dude in this town.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Eric Bruin, like, did that on purpose, because it's like, I grew up in that kind of town, and I knew the only black kid.
But I mean,
in
I feel like that's a perspective that a lot of people share, though, because when I first moved here, that was something I heard all the time, where they were like friends with me, and they're like, well, you're like my one black friend, because in their town they only had, say, 2 people of color, and I'm not even just saying African American or black in general. It's like just 2 people of any other ethnicity that wasn't white.
There were, like, no Hispanic kids where I grew up, or anything, really.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if, from his perspective, because I'm sure this game definitely holds a lot of his personal life stuff in it.
I wasn't sure how much of it was on purpose or coincidental to that experience, so I just thought I'd bring that up.
I feel like it might be a bit of both, maybe on purpose, in the sense of he understands that perspective, or at least he's seen that perspective, and coincidental in the stance of he's built this game and has him as a character in, so these storylines can be taken from that point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's cool. I think that's a cool thing. Yeah. Which is any character in this game, honestly. You can pick them apart. And
yeah. And so that wraps up everything I have to say on Robin and Demetrius. I don't know if you have anything to add there.
They're one of my favorite pairs in the game. I like just because I'm that type of person where I'm very independent when it comes to working on stuff. I also like sharing work with my significant others and stuff, but the fact that Robin goes off and does what she wants, and then he does what he wants, but then they can still come together and be the closest couple seemingly in the entire town. So I do like that.
I saved my personal favorite pair
All
for
right.
last. Jody and Kent.
Oh, Jody. See, Jody and Kent I don't know much about at all, so you're going to be really filling me in with this one.
I did a playthrough where I was romancing Sam. And so, because I was romancing Sam, I figured I should talk to Jody. I mean, I was at his house all the time. I may as well talk to Jody, talk to Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
And because at face value, superficially, I hated Jody. Like, my first playthrough when I
think we both said
Shane.
in the playthrough that, for our channel's playthrough, that I didn't like Jody at all.
Yeah. And, like, everything she has to say immediately, much like Haley, just makes her seem annoying. It's just her, she's like, oh man, I don't know how the dishes are gonna get done. Oh man, I've gotta go grocery shopping at Joja Mart. She shopped at Joja Mart, which I didn't like, but I understand because it's cheap. Actually, it's kind of weird because it's supposed to be cheaper, but if you go to personally shop at Joja Mart, everything costs like 500 gold.
Yeah, I prefer to just go to Pierre's.
Pierre's is cheaper, but everyone...
I don't know. I fish for my food, and I grow my own food. I'm a farmer. Fuck it.
Well, no, I mean, you can buy seeds from Joja Mart, but they cost more. So that's not... I don't know why they did that. I don't know.
No, I mean, it does make sense in a way. It's... at least I'd imagine for some small towns, you would go to a place, but it's the one big mart there. Let's use Walmart because Joja Mart, for example. But you go to Walmart and it's like, well, this probably could have been cheaper, obviously, if you bought it elsewhere. But since this is the one big place, conveniently, I don't know. I haven't had that.
I've had the opposite problem where a lot of small businesses and what have you are more expensive, like family-owned businesses.
That's true.
Things cost
Resources
more than
are more difficult for them to gather, so it would make sense why. I think we had this exact conversation.
Probably. But Jody shops at Joja Mart. For the first year, it's just her raising Sam and Vincent, and she talks about how big of a job it is to raise two boys. After you get to 2 Hearts with Jody, that's when you can go in her room as you can with everyone, and when you go in, you see that there's a letter from her husband, Kent, and the letter says something to the effect of, since I'm going to be coming home soon, I thought I should let you know that I'm not the same person I was when I left, and I don't want to scare you, but I do want to warn you. And then after a year after the farmer's been in Stardew Valley, Kent comes home. But a lot of the conversations you have with Jody are her being very wistful. Once you get to a certain point, she talks about how she feels like she wasted her youth, or she wishes that she had more time, because now she's a middle-aged mom in Stardew Valley.
It's true.
And in a very similar boat to Carolyn.
I like Jody better than Carolyn.
I do too.
There's a bit of modesty with Jody that I don't think Carolyn has as a person.
Yeah, I mean, Jody is genuinely... I mean, Carolyn... I don't want to say Carolyn's not happy to see you, because Carolyn is ultimately very amiable, very friendly. But Jody is interested in your work. She asks you about your farm. She's excited to have a farmer in town. And even though some of the things she says can seem off color, she's like, oh, we have a new farmer in town. You're not what I expected, but that's okay. I think someone's having a bad time.
Everyone outside is trash. Every single fucking person is rubbish.
I think what it is for me and Jody is that I identify with Jody as who I would be if I had children.
Yeah.
I really much dislike the idea of motherhood, of being a parent, and so I can sympathize with the idea of having wasted youth, which that's not true of motherhood. Some people love being mothers. Some people really just works out, but
I mean, I think that at least what happens to her is a very common thing, where you, at some point, you lose track of personal time, and you meet someone, this, i.e. Kent in this situation. You meet someone and then fall in love with them, and then the time is still lost. And because you're spending time with this other person, this is new, this is a great experience, then you have kids. And then that time starts to slowly catch back up with you, and you start realizing where you are.
And I think just looking at guessing people's ages, I think Jody and Kent had Sam relatively young.
Mm-hmm. It seems so.
And then had Vincent, and then, because I think there has to be like a 7-8 year gap between Vincent and Sam.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jody was early 20s when she had Sam.
I have her definitely being like 19 to 20.
That's what I'm thinking.
When she had Sam.
Because Sam's definitely like 18, 19. No, probably older, probably like 20, going on 21.
I have him guessed to be about 2021.
Yeah.
And Sam talks about how they used to live in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And Kent was like a garbage worker,
mm-hmm.
and he threw people's garbage in the truck, and I think at some point that stopped cutting it.
That's why, that story in general seems to be like younger relationship
Yeah, that
style.
just seems like young love.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Sam. That's another thing. I know this isn't a story about Sam here, but I really like Sam because he seems like a fucking doofus. Like, Sam seems like a big idiot, but Sam is also trying his very hardest to help his mother with Vincent
mm-hmm.
and to keep the house going in his father's stead. I think he feels like that's very much his responsibility. And the point of video games is getting to know a person, so they all unilaterally suck at the beginning.
Yeah.
But...
And I think... we said this, I believe, in the Sam episode. The Sam episode.
It's coming.
We said all of this in the Shane. I don't know why I was blanking on that for a second. The Shane episode, that I think that's how it would be if anyone were to move to a new town. Everyone at first would either seem overly nice in a way to you, or they'd seem very put off by you, or you'd be put off by your environment.
Because it's a video game, and you have to work your way up, everyone, like, sucks more than usual. Like, Haley doesn't talk to you, Shane tells you to just piss off, Sebastian tells you to just piss off, Sam's like, you want to see my skateboard?
Yeah, no, that's true. That's very true.
Like, everyone is just kind of their worst they possibly can be.
That makes sense.
I think.
That makes sense.
I forgot where I was going with this.
You were saying along the lines of Sam being him helping his mom, helping Vincent.
Oh, right. When you first meet Sam, he doesn't seem like that level of responsible. And Sam also has a lot of memories of Kent. Like, he talks about the desert. He's like, oh man, I wish I could go to the desert. I wish I could take Vincent to the desert like my dad used to take me. So I think Kent was a good dad and wanted to be a good father.
I wonder if Kent was definitely on the father high. So what I mean by that is, like, Pierre and Demetrius are very much... I'll just switch this over to Kent here. Pierre and Demetrius are very much dads.
Sam's hair.
Yeah. They're very much dads, like, they are 100%, like, you look at them, they act like dads, different sides, but Kent seems like the type that was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a father, but wasn't prepared for everything that came with being a father.
Maybe there's not a lot of dialogue supporting it either way.
Yeah.
I think he was overwhelmed, but uniformly across the board a good father the whole time, and I think he enjoyed being a father.
Right.
And a lot of his letters and a lot of his dialogue with Jody talk about how he wants to continue to be a good father, especially to Vincent. He expresses a lot of regret that he missed Sam growing up.
Right. That
he was gone a lot of the time. It's probably worth noting at this point, since we've been talking about Kent the whole time, is that he was a soldier in the war with, is it Gotoro? The Gotoro Empire?
Something like that.
I think those are the right
it's somewhere
syllables.
You guys can look it up on this wiki.
I think it's the Gotoran Empire, though. So he's a soldier, and when he comes back, it's heavy-handed. I think it's hard to handle this kind of thing in any capacity, but it is... Kent has PTSD from the war.
Yeah. It's not an easy thing to even bring up entirely.
Yeah, so it's like, on one hand, I'm glad that they're trying to talk about it and show a character with it, but on the other hand, I think it is kind of heavy-handed. I saw a forum where a veteran player of the game, not a person who's been playing for a long time, but a person who is a veteran also playing the game, was like, I feel like this representation is actually kind of offensive or harmful, which I can super see, because there's this scene with Jodie, and she's making popcorn, because that used to be Kent's favorite treat, but popcorn and the popping and the the
so
sounds.
it's very kind of what a Hollywood equivalent of that sort of condition would be.
I think it definitely is very not very elegant or handled carefully, because if you're out during any of the scenes where the spring dance takes place, he's like, I don't feel comfortable in this open field, and he shows a lot more comfort as you get to know him better. Like, my favorite thing about him is that, like, if you give him any flower, it's like the best gift you could give him.
Right.
I give him daffodils all the time. I just want to make Kent happy. But I would have liked to have seen a little more nuance there.
Yeah, now that I know, I mean, I knew about him being like, I knew about his PTSD stuff, but yeah, I do wish that was handled a bit better, because it's, especially in a game like this. I understand why his character exists. Because again, we're thinking small town archetypes. We're thinking of character people who are from a small town. This is a collection of those different personalities in a fictional town, which everyone shares in this game in some way. So I think that's cool that they have that, but yeah, that could be handled a bit better.
No, yeah, I'm really glad that they included him. I wouldn't want them to have cut him. Is it like have him not come back from the war, or have Jodie just be a single mom? Like, I'm glad that he's there. I just... it could have been handled better, but, like, if I had to choose the game with or without him, I'd definitely prefer it with him.
Right. I understand, like, it's definitely, like, he's going to do that. He has a family to raise. He wants to make money to bring back to his family and things of that nature, which makes sense for this particular thing. I wonder if it was just kind of like a writing research thing in a way.
I think...
Because I don't personally, for my characters that I write up, I don't personally put characters like this in there because I don't understand the perspective myself, and I don't want to offend anyone,
I think, as with a lot of things in Stardew Valley, it's always hard to get things right. Like, the depiction of Shane's depression isn't going to be everyone else's depression. So I think there may be things maybe to relate to.
Oh, I get that.
But,
yeah.
But this, depression is more widely understood than PTSD, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, it's a touchy one with him. It's just that it's a part of his character, so it's like...
I think my problem is that they didn't really take much beyond that. Like,
I see.
Kent isn't much of a character outside of having that condition.
Right. Yeah, it would be nice to have like a scene where it's like he actually does take Vincent to the desert.
Yeah, I
want to see
him, because a lot of his dialogue is like, it's hard to... I'm used to having a more regimented life. I'm not sure what to do with my time. Like, it would be nice to see him moving in either direction, like it gets worse or it gets better. Like, obviously I want to see Kent be happy, but... Right.
It would be cool just to see it getting better, like have a scene where him and Jodie are at the pub and he's like trying to catch back up. He's like, hey, we can catch back up on stuff. Or him and Sam actually at the beach, doing something,
Yeah, like having a heart-to-heart that you accidentally overhear, which is all the Stardew Valley is about.
That would be cool. Or him talking to other townspeople and like getting to know them more and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really realizing his perspective, because then, God, did he just shoot his bike? it's not going fast enough. And he's
This is just what people in Western PA are like.
Oh my god, I can't wait to like not live near a road anymore, period. But yeah, I agree with you. I wish that there was a lot more done with him, honestly.
And I've reached 10 hearts with him, so I've pretty much seen everything he can give. He mails you bombs, which is nice of him to do.
A little on the nose, but...
He's the only character that will do that.
Yeah, a little on the nose, but I'm glad that... I mean, they're hard to come...
make.
Yeah, they're hard to make and hard to come by. It's like, thanks, Kent.
He's like, I thought you might need this. Like, okay.
Oh my
You're
god.
right, I do.
He made... it's a team of people. I don't... This was not done for comedy reasons or anything. I understand, but it's kind of like the war-torn old person you'd see in like an old cartoon.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the fiction they've kind of written around his character. It's kind of like that. Kind of like the grandpa who was in World War II or Vietnam, and like everything triggers him. Because I kind of never liked that. Yeah. Yeah.
I know that Chucklefish and Eric Barone have said that there's going to be more in the way of hard events for these characters. So I'm hoping that Kent is one of the characters that they'll address.
Well, they seem very attentive to the community.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that this is something that was brought up or emailed to them and stuff. Not even just with him, with other characters too.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I do just want to see more of them established. I understand why the focus wasn't on them to begin with, but it would be nice to see more of them. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any other characters you wanted to...
No, those were my 6 boys.
Okay.
To go over all of the Unmarriagables would take forever.
True,
we still have Krobus. We still have Pam.
Yeah.
No, there's Lewis and Marnie, and we're going to kind of bunch those up and do those in a separate episode.
Okay. Yeah. No, I like this as part 1, honestly, for those Unmarriagables. The Unmarriagables.
Bad. It doesn't sound good.
But they're also the undivorceables, because you can't marry them to begin with.
A lot of people... My brother-in-law, Eli, I told him to get Stardew Valley, and the first person... Because I'm like, he's going to marry Abigail. I know it. And he's like, Daddy, why can't I marry Robin?
Oh, man. I think he just learned something.
Like, Robin is married, Eli.
Yeah.
But
Robin is cool.
A lot of people do call for home wrecking mods.
Yeah, man. People are fucking crazy with that. I've seen that. I've seen that. I never really... Yeah, I dated Abigail because I didn't like Penny. Not Penny. Yeah, I didn't like Penny, and then what's Haley? Didn't like Haley either. Haley's, I guess I was doing a lot more of the real life perspective thing, because in real life I probably wouldn't date any of them, honestly. When it comes to Abigail, Penny, or Leah
and Emily.
And Emily. I think Emily probably more so.
There's like 5 of them.
There's like 5 of them, yeah.
Maru.
Yeah, Maru too. I think IRL, I probably would like Maru, but in the sense of her being a creative person. But everyone else, I feel like Abigail will be too whiny. There'd be a lot of whininess going on there, because I feel like she's definitely been sheltered to the point where she's kind of still way younger than her age. Haley is just too pretentious. Penny just wants too much, it seems. You know, you can only appease her with diamonds, Penny. And then Emily seems like she has a very direct thing that she wants to be and do, in a way.
I feel like there's the opposite.
Is it with Emily? I'm probably thinking of her differently, because I never really tried to romance her.
We'll crush through that on our Emily episode.
We definitely will.
I have a lot of opinions about all of them, because I can't say that there are any of them I definitively do not like.
Okay. So we definitely should come up with stuff for them.
But
sure.
If we're going, who would I IRL date? It's probably Harvey. I wanted to say it was Sam, but we know that I like soft little emotional boys. Mac, I love you.
You love your soft boys. You married a soft boy. Yep.
I did. I
There's
married
our boy Harvey.
The softest boy.
You did.
Harvey's the softest Stardew boy.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Probably is in business with Pierre. Probably sells some of that Stardew weed. They sell the real star drops, if you know what I mean.
Harvey would never.
How do you know? How do you know?
I'm right.
Harvey does love coffee, pickles, super meal, truffle oil, and wine. He's a very classy man.
He is.
Very classy man.
I make Harvey pickles every time I make pickles. He always gets one of my jars.
Harvey always gets one of Teddy's pickles. You hear it here first.
Y'all, listen.
Harvey gets Teddy's super meal pickle. You hear it here first.
Our next episode is going to be covering Abigail because I think that's just fair since we did the Shane Train episode.
That's true. I don't have much to defend on Abigail, if I'm being honest.
No, you were super defensive of her.
I was during the playthrough.
Yeah?
That was a bit. Yeah. No, I've learned a lot since. Much like Shane, a lot, because I told you I was going to do a lot more research on these characters and try to get into it for the series and stuff, but I may not be marrying Abigail again. Stay tuned. Guys, thank you for watching, and we will hopefully have another one of this pretty soon. This was fun. Yeah, I like doing these.
What's today? Monday?
It is Monday. Yeah,
the
next
Abigail.
Monday. Yeah, the Abigail. Hopefully this will be up. This will probably be up tomorrow, Tuesday. Hopefully. We'll see. I'm editing this.
Kiss, kiss, booze.
Guys, leave that like. We'll catch you later.